Black Lightning, Episode 7, Equinox, The Book of Fate. This episode, I would definitely say, was one of my favorites so far. It certainly got intense, especially like the last, I guess it was just the last 5 minutes. Super, super crazy. But I think the whole episode was really good. We got a ton of great tension and some like pseudo revelations and full revelations. The stuff with Gambi in this episode I thought was really good. And him basically killing Tobias's right hand man for Black Mariah so that they could kind of keep their secrets hidden and stuff like that. And I was like, he's in this really weird middle ground where it's like he's a good guy, but he used to be really, really bad, or maybe he wasn't, and everyone else got bad, and he knew about it, and he didn't turn anybody in because it was like, oh, these are like my old friends and stuff. So he didn't turn them in, and then it's like, they talk about having a deal with the family and stuff like that, where everyone else is meant to be safe, and it's just like it's still a little bit confusing. Where it's like you watch this dude, and he's helping Pierce kind of do his thing as Black Lightning, getting him back out there, saving the city. And then, the episodes have built up with all these secrets, and then Tobias comes to see him, and then he goes to see Black Mariah, or not Black Mariah, I can't even think of Lady Eve. I don't know if I said Black Mariah. I'm watching some Netflix stuff, so that's in my head now. But it was just interesting. I was like, man, this dude is just like, he's like right in the middle. Like it's not like it's just back and forth where it's like he's definitely doing some good stuff. He's definitely helping out. He's making a new suit for Anissa, and she's kind of going through her process of really convincing her parents to want to go out and be a hero and stuff like that. Which I think I mentioned this before, but I love how fast things kind of go in this series, where it's not like, oh, this took like 4 or 5 episodes. It was like they had their fight. It was like, holy crap, I hurt my daughter, but she healed super fast, so she was out. And then it's like, this is what I want to do. Like, you've been doing this for all this time. She realizes that her dad being Black Lightning is why her parents actually split up. And it's like, well, you don't, you're talking to her mom. She's like, you still don't understand. Like, you can't stop a bullet, stuff like that. So the whole process, it was just like beginning to end, officially done. She's getting the suit. It's like, don't really want it, but I understand. And of course, Pierce has even less of an argument where it's like, him being a hypocrite and stuff like that. So I was just really glad that it was just like one episode. They went through the process of, she had her moment, like, destroying the statue and hurting people at random. And then this episode where Pierce goes through, kind of that final mission, and it backfires. Like, he was still in that mindset of revenge, trying to get to Tobias, and it fails. Like, he almost gets him, but he doesn't, and then he ends up actually getting his sister killed, which, it still ended up having an effect on him, because it's like, I only want, he was having like tunnel vision. It's like, all that matters is getting this one person. And then when he went in, kind of just zapping people and tossing them around, and he's trying to, block bullets and stuff, other people got hurt. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out going forward. But I love the way it was handled in this. Like I said, the Gambi stuff I thought was really good, and him trying to figure out, how to do it. And then, of course, he goes and kills off Tobias's right-hand man, which was a cool scene. Like, he goes in, he's just blowing people away. The music was really good, which was super funny. But that was Run the Jewels. So if you don't listen to them, you really should, because I just got into them recently. And the song that played there, I believe, was their first song on Run the Jewels 3. I can't remember the actual title of the song, but I think that is called Talk to Me, I believe. And it was funny because I was like, wait, I know this song, because I had just heard the song for the first time earlier that day when I was watching the episode. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. But great scene. He goes in. I don't know why they gave him that specific style, but he looks like the evil version of like Dick Tracy or something. He's in like the trench coat and the hat, and he walks around with that shotgun. But kills him, and he puts the the little gold chest on his chest, actually, and it has the bones in it and stuff. And that was supposed to be like, this sign to Tobias. And then he tries to have Lady Eve killed, which he actually does succeed on, because the 2 guys go in, ultimately they fail, but then there's a third guy who pops out of the casket and kills her. And it didn't dawn on me until the cop actually called him, because they're going through, and I was like, okay, they just have, I thought it was like lasers. So, they, for whatever reason, they got like crazy blue laser guns. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, they literally came out of nowhere. Like, this whole show, they've just been using normal weapons, everything. And it's just like out of nowhere, it was like, poof, we got, crazy comic sci-fi weapons. And I was just like, okay, sure, they just got crazy blue laser Gatling guns, no big deal. And then when the cop called him, it was like, before they even showed her, I was like, oh, those were lightning guns. Like, it didn't even dawn on me that whole time that that's what was happening. they were just dying, especially considering the fact that when it was kind of funny, but it was like when they show the bodies, they're all burnt up, and I was like, well, that definitely didn't happen. They kind of got zapped and then they died, and then they show the bodies afterwards, and they're just like all fried to a crisp. But that should be interesting. I don't know how that's really gonna play out, but now it's like that. It just makes perfect sense. Like that's why they had those weapons, and it was meant to be, this is what's going on with Black Lightning. Like he was meant to be the hero. He came back to start saving people, and now he's this huge threat. And of course, it's like this. I think they use like her actual name. They don't call her Lady Eve, but it was like they used the picture. And she's like, just this nice, smiling lady. Is like she's a pillar in the community, and then Black Lightning just killed her. So, of course, that kind of sets things off, and it gets rid of Tobias's competition, and it puts a spotlight on his main enemy. So I love the way that was kind of played on his part. And like I said, just even watching, I was like, I didn't realize it was like lightning. I just thought like laser plasma weapons, but it was like, all right, simply put, that's a smart way to do it. So I don't know how things are going to play out going forward, but I'm definitely excited for it. I think it should be really entertaining to watch them have to be like super super careful. And of course it was like, oh, when the cop called him earlier in the episode, Pierce was like, oh, yeah, I don't know about anyone that's got powers, kind of like me. So it's like, oh, okay, well, this weird, little coincidence, or it's like, I have no idea. The very next episode, of course, he's going to be working with his daughter. So I assume they're going to get busted in the very next episode. And it's like, well, you lied to me about this and you killed these people. But of course, yeah, and it might take some time, but I like to assume eventually they'll realize that wasn't actually Black Lightning. And then the very end of the episode was just ridiculous because I'm like, okay, this is already insane. Like they're going through and Pierce fails to get Tobias, but he ends up having his sister killed. All the stuff that already went on with Gamby, and then Lady Eve gets murdered, and it was just like, this is an insane. This is just a crazy ending to the episode. Like this is nuts. And then they have Lala, like he just wakes up, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? And it seemed a bit simple at first because it was like, okay, so he technically didn't die. Something crazy. Like maybe, they made implied that he died and he was choked out, but wasn't technically choked to death. But then he was put somewhere else, and then, poof, he wakes up a few days later, and who knows what they did to him. We've seen, the weird stuff with Lady Eve. So it's like, okay. And, some weird stuff, and he was never technically dead or whatever. And so now he finally woke up. And then he's freaking out, and I'm like, okay, this is super weird. I thought he was gone, which totally makes sense now because I was like, it's so weird that they made him seem important in 2 episodes and then he died. So now it makes more sense. And so he wakes up, is like, what the heck is happening? I thought I was dead. And then the woman that he shot was like, do you believe in the resurrection? And then she turned in the dust and flew onto his chest as a tattoo. And I was like, I don't understand what that means. I thought it was like the most confusing, like ending 10 seconds ever. I was like, it was one thing where I was like, okay, so people are being brought back to life, and then she turned into literal dust and became a tattoo on his chest, and I was like, as an ending, it was like, that just blew my mind. I don't even know what to think of that. So aside from full on magic, I don't really know where we're headed because there was just a lot of craziness in like the last couple of minutes of this episode. But the whole thing was good. I would probably say this is definitely my favorite episode so far. It was just like really good with the emotional stuff, just what some of the characters had to do. The very ending with Tobias' sister dying, and then Lady Eve officially being killed off, and it's made to look like Black Lightning did it. So there's just a lot of stuff, and then it was just like, boom, here's the last 10 seconds. 2 people came back, and then one of them turned into like a dust tattoo and fused with the guy or something. I'm sure we'll get a better explanation than just she turned to dust and turned into a tattoo. I don't know, but I was like, all right, well, next episode should definitely be something. So I'm certainly looking forward to it. Like I said, I really enjoyed this one, but of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below, let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and I definitely want to know how you guys think things are going to play out with the framing, of course, of Black Lightning, where it's like, oh, you killed this pillar of the community and stuff like that. I would love to know how you guys think that's going to play out as he's trying to teach his daughter how to be, the next hero. How is all of that going to kind of suppress him being the hero that he wants to be? So I'd love to know your predictions on that. Like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.